So this is Jody Sidlauskas, RIT Associate Archivist. It is October 17th, 2015, and it is RIT's Brick City Weekend, Homecoming and Parent Weekend, and we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the class of 1965. Members of the class have returned. And we're here in the Henrietta campus. These folks actually went to school on the downtown campus, and we're sharing memories today. And right now I have with me graduate Sanford Laufer. And welcome, Sandy.
Hi.
Can you tell me, first of all, what years were you at RIT? Were you here for 4 years?
61 to 65.
Okay.
Yes.
And your major?
Photographic science, now called imaging sciences.
Oh, yeah. And do you remember how you chose RIT?
Yeah, the guidance counselor had 15 minutes for me in high school, and he said, what do you want to do? I said, well, I'm interested in photography. I want to start working for a company like Kodak, but not necessarily Kodak, working on film emulsion technology and chemicals. So I want to study chemical engineering. He says, don't study chemical engineering. There's a program at Rochester Institute of Technology up in Rochester. He says, they have cold winters, but he said, you can get a degree in photo science, and then you can work for a company like that. So I had one other, Boston University had a photo program, but it wasn't what I wanted. I got accepted to both. I never went to see RIT before the day that I arrived at the dormitory the night before registration. Other kids in our family and my children, they got to go to college trips. You got to go see another college.
Right.
I wanted the program. If they were in a tent, I would have attended. And we had a very compact downtown campus, similar to where my son went at Cooper Union, where it was in the middle of a city, and all the buildings were walking distance. And I counted, I think, about 6 or 7 buildings we had last night without the dormitories and the frat houses. And that was it. We had the Eastman building, we had the Bevere building, the Eastman Annex, Clark building, a skating rink, gymnasium, a library, a West Main Street building came later. If I missed any, I'm sorry, but that's basically what was there.
Right, the core.
And
So tell us about some of the classes.
well, we started, in those days, they started the photography students in like a block with core courses. Everybody took the same. There was the illustration program for art people with a BFA degree. For the BS degree, they had a professional photography program, and they had the photo sciences, people basically learning photographic products and the technology to make them, and hopefully to help engineer new products and allied things to that, like help customers use products. At that point, we took a fundamental photography course where I met, who's here today, Elsie Stolberg-Metz was my lab partner, and she and I were, she was a little less definite about what she wanted to do, and others were, but once you got into these fundamental courses, you branched off and realized where you wanted to fall, hopefully. And we had this fundamental photography course. It really teaches you how to be a professional photographer in all ways, and you go through the motions. I've had experience before, but in other words, I'll put the finishing touches. You processed your film in the darkroom, and you did the whole thing. Which later there was something that happened. Maybe you'll ask a question, and I'll fill it in.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Do you remember, as far as your class? I can't say right now how many were in your class. I don't know if you remember.
Well, we were talking about it last night, but it was it was like the whole photo department. If it was 200 people, well, there weren't 200 graduates, so it might have been 200 or 300 people for the whole department, something like that. You'd have to look at the yearbooks. We were going to do that, but we
Right.
didn't.
Yes, I should have brought a yearbook with me. Um, uh, as far as your living quarters, where were you?
Well, the first year you were
living?
required to live in a dormitory, and for the men, they had bought the Nathaniel Rochester Hotel, which was at Main Street, and I don't remember the cross street, but right downtown, and it was I'd say probably a 4 or 5 story, something like that building. It's you can see the pictures in the yearbook, and this was an old hotel that they purchased and made a dormitory out of. So we were on the 3rd floor. That's about as much as I remember.
Okay. Any idea what it cost or?
Well, tuition was around $900 by the time we left a year. I don't remember what the dormitory was.
Part of the room, yeah. And were you? Did you share a room?
Well, it was supposed to be a 4-man room,
Oh.
and ironically, I won't mention the name right now, but I went to high school with someone, and I asked him if he wanted a room with me. And he got the idea to go to the same program after I got it, and he said, "No, I'll meet new people." But the administration here decided they would take people from the same area and throw them in the room. So we got him, who was in the same high school as me, and we got one other person who lived in adjacent town, Garden City, and the 2 other people. They had 5. They put 5 because they told us they put a cot in the first quarter.
A cot.
We were in a quarter, 2 bunk beds and a cot for the extra person who came at the last minute, and they said that don't worry, it's only for 1 quarter. One of you won't be here, and you'll flunk out by the first semester. We know that happened.
That's what they said to you.
Yeah, and it was true. After the first quarter, we only had 4, and the
Okay,
other
so
the
that-
5th guy came from the Buffalo area. So everybody was from New York State that was in the room. That's the way they worked it. So
Okay. And so in this photo program, were you required to do a co-op?
no, it
No
was
co-ops.
there. It was there if you wanted it.
Okay. And how about extracurricular activities? Were you involved with
I
clubs?
was a little bit. I got involved heavily after the 2nd year with the Delta Lambda Epsilon group, which was a DLE, we called it, was the honorary photographic fraternity. You needed a 2.8 or better average maintained to be in it, and so that it was a service group, and we did good things. Okay, like one thing that there was a photo society also for everybody, and the photo society, my task was for spring weekend they were going to have a booth where couples could go and take a picture in a horse-drawn vehicle. There was no horse, but the vehicle, we cropped the picture so that you couldn't tell whether the horse was there or not.
Sure.
And my job was to locate one to get a loaner vehicle, which I did, and other people built the booth or something like that. So we did, and what was interesting then, the technology now is you get your camera, you look at the picture, even your phone, and you say, "Oh, I don't like that one." But you didn't have your picture right now. Well, there was Polaroid, but we didn't use it that much. And we did once a year, they had the spring weekend and they had a parade. I don't know if you still do that, but they, after the parade, a few hours, there were all kinds of activities, and if it was raining or bad weather, they would have it in an auditorium, whichever one it was, and then on the screen it would say slides of today's parade in color. People were amazed. They thought it was last year's parade, but our group, what we did was, one of the things we did was we took slide pictures of the parade, and then we ran to the darkroom at school, processed the film and put the slides in little cardboard holders, stuck them up on the projector. And within a couple of hours from the time they had the parade, we were already projecting the images, which was
Wow.
really not in those days was not a usual thing.
Yes. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that might be why in our collections we see slides with just students' names written on them.
Possibly, I don't know.
Interesting. And that was like spring weekend.
Yes.
Okay.
And one year, Richard Nixon, the vice president, was in the parade somehow. I don't know how, and I got the picture somewhere. You don't see much, but
Oh, yes. And we have a picture, I think it's from the reporter of Nixon, but we
Yeah.
never knew that he was in a parade,
in our parade.
in the RIT parade. Wow.
That's what I remember. Maybe I remember it wrong.
No, I think you're probably right. Politics, he was probably trying to get his face out there, the young people, and in Rochester. Were you involved in sports?
No.
No. And you mentioned your fraternity. And that they did a lot of social.
No,
Did they
we
do
didn't do
social at all?
We didn't do social. We did very
Service.
service. And the social fraternities, they have a long history. Everybody can tell you of some of the bad things they did. I won't even get into that.
Oh, okay.
But the other thing is, as a group, about 5 of us, I left a picture at the archives, a copy yesterday. 5 of us got this brainstorm when you decided you were making you bought the land, and there was going to be
That's the Henrietta campus land
That's
Sandy's
right.
referring to,
That's
yes.
right. That was the announcement. Then they were going to have a picnic, not to break ground, I don't think, but to show you where it was and what was going to happen. So we said, someday, one of my friends, Mike Burke, I think it was his idea. He says, someday, soon, some freshman is going to say, I made the first color print on the new campus. And we said we didn't want to do that. We didn't want anybody to do that. We were going to do it. So we got FA Motors to give us a Volkswagen bus for a day. Somebody loaned us a generator, which we had used before, sometimes when they had the spring weekend and the activities were outside and we had to project the slides in an area where there's no electricity. We had a generator for the projector. So we got the same generator, and we were able to heat the water and create a dark room. And there's a picture of us holding up the first. It's up in the archives. I left a copy. It's not good. It could use some work. I'm going to look for the negative, but it has Elsie and I and Mike and Walt Winchell was there. We're not sure who the girl was. We think her name was Winfred, but we don't know. Holding up the first pictures, color pictures. We took pictures of the campus, and then we processed the negatives in this truck, and then we
In the middle of this field.
yes, and we made the first color prints on the new campus. So
There's your claim.
yes.
Wonderful. It's now documented for RIT history.
Well, it has been before, but maybe somebody lost track of it. Maybe in the photo,
yeah.
They may have it in the photo department. Elsie had prepared like a bulletin board, which you can't find, a poster board.
Yes. Now, were any of you on the yearbook committee where these photographs would end up in the yearbook?
No, I didn't get involved in that. Frankly, I was spending so much time studying that whatever I did with DLE and a little bit with the Photo Society, I can't even recall any other activities. Oh, I was on the radio station. I did a show once. I get off. I think it was once a day of oldies in those days, Broadway and Hollywood music. And we had a sponsor. We actually got paid to buy some of our equipment from Muriel Cigars. So I used to say, now the latest news with Sanford Laufer, and brought to you by Muriel Air Tips, Muriel Coronel, is the politest cigars ever.
That's awesome. Now, it was the radio station, the RIT station?
Yes, it was a WITR. They had the same call call letters.
that they have
They
today.
had, and they had another station.
I think I read that.
WRIT in
Yes.
the dorms.
And at some point they merged.
Well, yeah, I hope so, because
Yes.
we were having it was a rivalry there. It was really a lot of interesting stories.
I bet.
Yeah.
I just realized that in the records recently that there was 2 stations.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fabulous. So you worked on that specific project. Do you remember when they made the announcement they were purchasing that downtown or the Henrietta property?
No, I don't.
You don't
I'm
remember?
sure you have it in the record.
Yes, we do. I just wondered how the students that were at school at that time, how they felt about that, if they felt that that was going to be a good move.
Oh, well, there was some story, I guess. I don't know if I'll try to say it without saying it. They thought the kids got really crazy. They went and printed up T-shirts. They thought it was South Henrietta Institute of Technology.
The SHIT, yes.
You had heard that before.
We recently received a sweatshirt that had that on it.
Yes.
And we displayed it.
Uh-huh.
That was the first we'd seen of that. Yes. Yes. So it was an interesting
students
time,
just did that. Yeah,
just for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think there is a South Henrietta. There's a West Henrietta and the East, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah. That's great. We've heard things about the life at the downtown campus as far as what Rochester was dealing with as far as riots, and there was racial tensions, and it wasn't necessarily the safest neighborhood to be in. Do you recall feeling that?
Well, I didn't feel that way. Okay, now say I'm liberal, or I'm liberal on a one-to-one basis. Yeah, I have black friends, and my black friend in the city says he's liberal. He let his son marry a Korean, so I love my grandchildren. At this point, I had a story where I didn't feel any, and we in the second year rented apartments on Fitzhugh Street, which they're gone. It's urban renewal. It's like Back to the Future when I went over there 7 years ago. It's all new, relatively new housing compared to what was there. And these dilapidated buildings that we rented. But that was like 2 or 3 blocks from the old campus. So we walked to class, and it was great. I went to the laundromat. My father came up, to rest in peace, to visit me. Went to the laundromat, and I did my laundry there all the time, and he was with me, and we both bought a beer in the store next door, which never closed in those days, and that was unheard of. A 24-hour convenience store, And we had...
Excuse us. Just real quick. Okay, we're back with Sandy. Sandy has another event to attend, so we're just going to kind of wrap up here. I guess I'm curious as to where your career went after you left RIT.
I spent 16 years in the field developing new products and servicing them, and most of it was AGFA-related companies. When they laid me off, I did some work on the Moon Project with Lunar Orbiter, and some pretty interesting things. But I eventually went into my father's business when I didn't have a job, and I've been there ever since. And I took it over when he died in '83, financial planning and taxes, etc.
Oh.
That's where I am now. If I had to do it over again, maybe I wouldn't, but it is what it is. I enjoyed a really good run in the field and did in the beginning exactly what I wanted to do, and what was Peerless Photoprox became AGFA was a company that was making photographic products, and I was in the lab inventing, if you will, new or better products, and I did exactly what I came here for. So I had a good run.
That's wonderful to hear. So that RIT education was exactly what you wanted,
and I did it for a long time.
That's great. Well, thank you, Sandy, so much for joining us today and being a part of these stories. It's of great importance to RIT history,